There we go. Should be working now. Do we have audio? We have audio. We have audio. We have video. I think it's live streaming. Cool. All right. That is audio's good. Man. Audio's good, people. Comcastic. This actually isn't Comcast. This was a weird issue. So what happened is, and I don't know why this happens because I can't repeat the problem. And the system decided to, it shows up as a ghost in the system. The Streamlabs thing, the Elgato USB streamer input, and I may replace it because of this. This is an annoying problem. It occasionally shows up again, and then it gets confused because there's two of them, so it becomes very choppy and the audio breaks. I see it over here being choppy, and all I have to do is reboot and it goes away, but it does it on... I can reboot this thing 20 times in a row, it won't do it, then randomly it'll just go, hey, I'm going to break. So I don't really know why. It may be a reason, though, because it's annoying when it does happen that I replace it. It's just a shame to replace a device that does it once every... I don't know. I mean, this computer gets rebooted and shut down every single time I do a stream. I don't leave it on all the time because, you know, if the studio's not in use, then turn it off. So that causes that weird issue. So yeah. Nonetheless, I'm here, and that's how that goes. I do have to be out of here, though, around, let me think here, about 4:30, because I have been invited to a board meeting. A company and wants me to help with their education things, and so I'm going to be possibly joining a board of that. More details if those are interested. I've actually been on different charity boards before, and advisory. I'm still, even right now, part of the SolarWinds advisory panel, which is now called Enable. So not something new to me being involved in these. It's going to be a long one, though. I realize that their agenda has a 2-hour agenda day, so I have to make sure I get started early on that. It's unfortunate because it's so nice out. I want to be outside. So when will Cass join? My wife works in finance, but that also means sometimes she works from home and can be here. Other times she cannot. So because she works at an office, and when the days she's at the office, she doesn't get off work until she's not home until 6. So it doesn't really line up with being on a stream. I was out on my bikes yesterday, both my bicycle and my motorcycle. And I crashed my motorcycle within the first half hour, dirt bike, so in the mud. I managed to tip it over in the mud within the first 30 minutes of riding. It was wonderful. It was fun. Do you know any way to back up the Synology Active Backup for 365 settings? As far as I know, when you do the active backup, it backs it up. Maybe you'll have to play around with that, but when you do one of those full active backups, it should back up everything on there. It's funny because the problems of compounding, me being slightly late on this, was figuring out that, oh yeah, that's right, I have to change the URL feed for the chat window that is up on the side. People seem to like it last time, so I will leave the chat window up. I have no problem with it. I like it, but that does require me to make sure it's turned on and working properly before the stream. If not, it just displays the chat from last time. There's a URL ID that is the matching URL ID to the video, and that has to be updated each time I start a new live stream. Yeah, I imagine it actually does back up everything on Nostalgia NAS. I mean, settings like that should be part of the settings file. So when you do the full backup of a Synology, those settings should be backed up. In theory, I have not tested it, so I can't confirm. That'll be a test we do. What's your initial thoughts on the TP-Link Omada gear? Looks a whole lot like UniFi gear is my initial thoughts. It looks lots and lots like UniFi gear. I don't know. I mean, so far I wouldn't say that it's bad, but I don't know that it's good either. So, thanks. Oh, trying to figure out. Someone said rip. I don't know. Buffering? Is it not? Is there no audio before I keep talking? So is there no... It looks like I'm talking. Let me just hit the little thing over here. Is there no... It looks like I'm talking. Let me just hit the thing over here. I got audio. So, all right. There's audio. It's fine. All right. It just glitched. I'm actually, because I stream out and then I watch it back, there's a delay. I didn't see any glitch, but it doesn't mean there wasn't a glitch. I just didn't see it. So I wonder if there's a coincidence for who's having the network hiccup, because there's people saying they're seeing it and there's people that saying they aren't. So yeah, that's a BGP problem. Anyways. Speaking of BGP problems, I reached out to some friends who have a data center, people I met before, that we talked about doing a data center video that got kiboshed because they got purchased. And since the purchase went through, their social media team reached out to me, and I might be able to, and I think there's a interest everyone has in this, of being able to talk to some of the engineers inside a large, provider of hosting and data centers, getting a sneak peek inside their data centers and their equipment, and having some discussions about how routing happens, how BGP goes wrong, and talk to some of the engineers in there. I might be doing a video with some of them. I think that might be kind of fun. They have a data center not real far away, but within range of my office, and it might be something kind of fun to talk about. It's not easy to go filming inside of a data center. There's a lot of restrictions, but I'll see what we can share to talk about what goes on inside there. And I think there's my audience, there's probably a crossover of people that are interested in it. So if you like data centers, give it a thumbs up and a like. If you don't like data centers, give it a thumbs up and a like. There's 209 people and there's 29 likes. So whether you really like a data center or not, I think you should still like. So let's see. Is it still doing that? Huh. Are we still buffering? I'm not seeing buffering on my side, but of course, I'm streaming out to the YouTubes, and I'm in Michigan and coming back. So there is at least one data center that I will not be touring because it is gone. And that is a reminder for people about the backups that one needs to have at cloud installations. Whenever you have a cloud installation, it should not be just simply assumed that they will be good stewards of all of your data or any other proprietary information that you have. You should always be thinking about a way to back that up. I'll use my forums as an example. Yes, I do back up my forums, and I have the backups stored here at the office. So if something terrible or tragic happens to my forums, then yes, I will be able to restore all that information, all the data, because it is backed up. Actually, Riley's in Michigan as well. So is it working here for Riley? I guess this has become the Michigan podcast. So... Yeah, it is important, though, just in general, to come up with methodologies by which you have things backed up, and additionally have strategies so you can figure out how you want to handle an outage at a data center. For me, it's not too big of a deal because we don't have that many hosts. We have a few things that are hosted, but we keep copies of all the data. We make sure there's backups, we put processes in place, and then there's a little strategic planning you do on the back end, and you play the what if scenario. Now, my forums, although I find them to be critical, I mean, how quick could I spin one up? If they were down for a day, they're not as critical to my business, so it's not a big deal. My website is the lifeblood of my business and how we get inbound leads, so we back up the website, not just regularly, but at every change. There's different backup strategies, and for things like websites, because it's mostly static content, the website gets backed up upon update or upon change. Those are like the triggers. So if there's an update that needs to be loaded for a plugin, because we use WordPress, that triggers a backup prior to and after. And we have iterations of all those backups that go to different servers. So that's been one of those important. Hey, I see Travis in here. Michigan here, also a client. Yes. Hello, Travis. Too much service for OVH to take a backup of. Well, I don't really believe, I mean, as much as you want to, the cloud provider, they may offer backups. And for example, I use DigitalOcean for my forums, and yes, they offer backups. Yes, I take advantage of them, but that's a backup. Just in case something tragic happened at DigitalOcean, I don't only rely on the backups. I also rely on my own backups, so I possess my data. Therefore, I'm not as worried. If something goes wrong, not with just the server I have hosted in DigitalOcean, but something more larger scale with DigitalOcean. So it's don't rely completely on a singular company to handle everything. Well, it depends on your risk. I can't say don't just rely on a single company, as much as what's your level of trust with them, and what's your plan if something goes wrong. Do you occasionally have backups of things, and just plan accordingly? What's your risk tolerance, as they may say? Yes, we still use SolarWinds. The pricing is high on servers, but it is what it is. Their backups work quite well. It all really kind of depends on what you're trying to sell and how much cheaper. I mean, there are other backup solutions. I've talked about Synology and things like that. We just helped someone switch to kind of an all Synology backup solution because they didn't want to pay a bunch of the fees. That works too, but now they're responsible. It's something they're managing internally, not that we're managing for them. If we're going to manage it, we're going to put it in the SolarWinds, so we have a singular place to manage all of that. Do I consider pfSense a next generation firewall? I'm not a big marketing term person, so I call it whatever you want. Sure. How broadly do we use SolarWinds MSP? All across the United States of America. I guess that's the answer you're looking for. Do you resell SIP service? We, not really. We offer people to sign up with VoIP MS. We've done a review. We have a video. Oh, I use the cloud as not a backup or disaster recovery plan. Yes, that is a great quote by Riley Chase. By the way, and I will say this specifically, is I didn't have a chance to reply as I kept getting distracted, but I got tagged in a post in a forum by Riley. And Riley said something that I will reiterate, that and I've seen a lot of people, he shared some insight into some of the business expenses, and he's got this on his Twitter as well. This is public information. But Riley, when he was breaking down, and Riley is the president and owner of HostiFi, he's breaking down some of his expenses. And there's always those people who try to save $1 here and $1 there. And one of the things that Riley said that I really shows me that he understands business much better than many of the people who were probably commenting was he said, outsourcing things that aren't the key focus of his business. I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember the exact words, but essentially, you really do want to focus on what's the core of your business. Yeah, cool. Someone was specifically complaining that he could save a couple dollars with the phone service. And me and Riley have had some conversations about this. Sometimes there comes a point where saving a couple dollars, cool, but in the big scheme of things, it's not what matters. If it becomes a distraction, if it becomes a problem where you miss a call that costs you some money, then you didn't save any money at all. The expense of loss on that is just too high. And it's something that people really should take into consideration. I think that's where Riley's doing very well because he understands that. Yeah, cool, I can try to save a few dollars, but will it be as good? Will it be as reliable? Will it cause a bunch of pain switching to that service just to save a couple bucks? And you can only save yourself so much money as a business. People start getting really focused on that and trying to cut costs. You can't really do a great job of cutting costs and putting yourself into profitability unless you've actually just done something so poorly and so poorly managed something that it does have an out of control cost. I mean, there are times when you got to cut costs, but it's a balance. And if the cost is such a small percentage of your overall, it's not going to matter as much from a business standpoint. Yeah, and look up HostiFi Twitter, and you can follow Riley directly on that, just so I'm referencing all of it. But say money mitigation of risk. I miss a phone call. Will I pay someone to reduce the risk that yeah, there's just a lot. There's just a lot that you have to think about with that. And like I said, people get really hung up on certain aspects of it. Tutorial on how to SMB private host allow. I don't know what those words mean strung together like that. Maybe post in my forums what you're trying to do so I can be more helpful on that. Yeah, there comes a point when we outsource some things for some of the same reasons. I want to bring something else, and let me see if I can find this real quick. I posted this because I wanted to have a conversation about this. This comes up constantly. It'll come up again, and before the end of this live stream, there's a statistical high probability that this question will come up again, and it says, will you join odyssey.com or library.com? And you can find this in my forums, but one of the things I want to point out is the YouTube channel Electro Boom. And Electro Boom does post both on Odyssey, Library, and on YouTube. So here's Electro Boom, and this is a December video. And by the way, he posts a day early to give people an opportunity to watch it a day early, apparently. I just noticed it says December 21st and December 22nd. So here's Electro Boom, and here are 1,200 views with 4 comments on Odyssey, where I found the video. Here's Electro Boom on YouTube with 1.5 million views and 5,649 comments. This is the challenge I have. So me as a content creator, I'm not saying that YouTube is the perfect platform. God, no, it's not. We all know that. But where's the value in me posting on these other platforms? I will have more places to try to follow comments if there are any comments. I mean, we only have 4 comments on a YouTuber who has, he's a great content creator and has almost, 4.5 million subscribers. But, there's so little going on, even with someone at that scale. I don't know exactly where the value is in posting my content over there. I wanted to bring it up because it seems to come up so often, and I'm going to now reference that forum post each time to be the reply for people asking that question all the time of, why don't you post on this other platform? Just something to think about. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense when that question comes up. Oh, let's see. Following up with questions here. You should make a video telling you why you don't post there and then post a video there. Yes, there's an idea. Am I still working on a security onion video? Yes. I have to finish a lot of other things first. Sometimes I get excited and try to do everything at once. And my workflow is kind of a round robin of projects until some of them are done. And I realize sometimes if they're hanging me up too much, or even when the project breaks and it needs some updates, I'm like, I don't have time for this right now. I end up pausing, and I decided that one was I had to put the security one on pause because I have to finish a few other ones, which does include, that is the sound of Tom tapping on a 45 drive server. So I am working on a series of storage videos, and once I have those storage videos done, then I will swing back because I need to do the new version of pfSense because it's at 2.5. I need to do the 45 drives and storage videos. I want to do some more TrueNAS videos. I also have another special Synology video coming out. That's a collaboration with another YouTuber. So that's going to come out in another week or two because I'm going to be helping another YouTuber with their Synology. So there's a lot. Oh yeah, and by the way, there's a TP-Link Omada set up in the other office that needs to be done a review as well. So Security Onion's on hold for now, but I will swing around back to it, definitely. So we're still testing the TP-Link Omada. We as in, yeah, give that 45 drive server a good whack. It's off, I can hit it. It's all right. My staff is testing it right now. So while my staff is testing it, that's they're doing the preliminary test, and we've had some conversations about it. I will then start testing it soon. Before then, I will finish 45 drives and then go back to it. They've got it set up and running and connecting things to it. We want to just let it sit there and run and connect things to it. Do you have experience getting AirPrint to work over segmented networks? No, don't. Put the printer on the same network as the device that's talking to it, because if not, it's probably not going to work properly. And if it is on the same network, it still might not work properly. I think anyone who's worked in IT will agree with me. We all hate printers. Just printers are terrible. And Microsoft thinks they're so terrible that it blue screens if you load the last update with certain printer scenarios. So, oh, what else do we have? AirPrint needs MDNS repeater. You can give that a try. It may work. There's the challenge becomes not every printer follows protocols very well, and we've learned some of them, and I don't know. No, I do not have an exhaustive list. Maybe someone should take the time to make one. It's not going to be me though. Some printers do not, even though they say they do, properly respect things. If they see something come from a different subnet, even though you've bridged them together, sometimes they go, well, that came from a different subnet. Therefore, even though rules say I'm allowed to talk to that device, I will not. And we've run into that where it wouldn't work because somehow the firmware had some rule in it that stopped it. So I don't always have the easy answer when it comes to printers, other than printers, and they're kind of a pain. Usually you just put them on the same network as the device. That's the best way to solve that. Not the best way people like it solved, but it's the way it works. Yeah, lots of printer issues, especially with your non-corporate, non-enterprise printers. Buy a new one. Our billable rate's $200 an hour. How much time do you want to spend on this printer? Because the printer is going to cost you a lot of money, and yeah, that's the thing. But one of the reasons we still have here some of those really old HP IP printers is they just work. Those you can route. You can put those on separate networks, and they use TCP/IP properly, so you can set them up on separate printer networks and route to them no problem without a bunch of weird issues. I do not twerk. That is not a skill I have. Anyways, I haven't done much. I think my staff has done more testing with the cloud thing than I have. For SolarWinds has a couple cloud options to restore to the cloud. My staff, I believe, tested it. It's not something directly that I've used. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, backing up to the cloud. That's good conversation. That's what I was reading the title here. But the other thing is your MSP tool stack still Huntress and SolarWinds? Yes. We still like Huntress, and we still like this. Well, eventually we got to start calling it Enable. SolarWinds is slowly, and let's look at that. We'll pull that up real quick for those of you that weren't aware. SolarWinds is rebranding their MSP because this has actually been going on since August of 2020. So SolarWinds MSP is becoming Enable. They have actually been in the process of splitting off to be their own entity since I believe it was August of 2020. Last year. Well, last year before the revelations that we had in December of everything that was going on the other side of SolarWinds, that made SolarWinds a household name for better or worse. But they're becoming now a new company called Enable. So this is the new SolarWinds name over here. But yeah, we're still using that as our stack, and that's still the go-to piece of things. And specifically for those of you wondering, we use SolarWinds with their Sentinel-1. We get Sentinel-1 through them as well. Let's see. I thought the Enable became SolarWinds. Damn. So they did buy another product called Enable. That's why it's weird to reuse the name. So they bought a product called Enable. So they bought GFI. That's what we use as the web platform. They bought a self-hosted version called Enable and integrated that into the stack. But now they're changing the whole name to Enable, which probably because they have it. I don't know why they did that. So, yes, Enable was bought by SolarWinds, but now SolarWinds is going to basically call it Enable. Would I recommend Prometheus and Grafana? I don't use them, so I don't have a reason not to use them or not to recommend them, but I don't have a reason to recommend them because I don't use them. So that's definitely a thing. Now, on the topics of backups, one of the things that not everyone realizes is the all right, just hiding people that post too much. They want to post, no problem. They can just go away. Anyways. When you back up to things, and we'll open up actually the TrueNAS system. This is what I'll be doing a video on soon. There we go. Log in. I just gotta make sure nothing shows when I do this. I just gotta make sure I don't think I have anything in here. All right, cool. I'm going to be doing some of these videos. This is more of the things I want to get done before I get to Security Union. It's talking about how you can back up to Google Drive, back up to, this is going to Backblaze, but you can also pull from cloud sources. So if you have a local TrueNAS server, you can use it to back up your TrueNAS server to the cloud or the reverse. So, the OVH thing, just kind of a reminder when I do that video to cover both aspects of it, because you can set a synchronization job to take and back up your cloud, pull from your cloud, and land it back over on your TrueNAS. So, this is another important feature. It's not just for backing up things on TrueNAS, it's so TrueNAS can back up things you have in the cloud. There's some methodologies I may want to cover for doing just that. So that way you have your data in the cloud where it's accessible, because, like my forums are living in the cloud, and it's a good thing because it's, always accessible. DigitalOcean does a solid job of keeping things up and running, but on that off chance that something goes wrong over at DigitalOcean, I do have a way to have all my data here locally, and I'll be putting together some of the different options and how you set up cloud sync tasks inside of TrueNAS, because it supports synchronization both ways, not just up to the cloud, but back down from it as well. Let's see. It will not. Will it pull M365? I don't think there's any ways. That's a Backblaze native bucket that goes to. So this actually does not. Backblaze supports two different bucket types. They support bucket types that are S3 buckets, and they support Backblaze B2 buckets. TrueNAS supports both S3 buckets and B2 buckets. This is configured as a B2 bucket. So the B2 bucket is the configuration currently for TrueNAS, and so we just go ahead and I'll do a video on that coming up soon. What else was I going to talk about? Workflows. Or is there a few more questions around this? Now, a few people had asked me about ticket systems. Now, I see someone says, I prefer duplicity plus B2. Yeah, there's a few different ways you can do it. There's, you can also do, the Backblaze has some of their own Linux tools. I haven't used them, but you can set up your own backups to Backblaze and some Linux command line for that. So on TrueNAS SMB, when you change private SMB advanced option, host allow or host deny, I don't know that needs a tutorial. I mean, if you want to deny a host in SMB, you put it in the host deny. If not, you put it in a host allow. I don't know that that's really a tutorial. It's just put the host you want to allow and the host you want to deny in the allow and deny. Now, yes, we did decide to go with Freshdesk. That's why I want to talk about some of the workflow. We're exploring still. Someone mentioned JitBit, and thank you for that. But after trying JitBit and testing it, I liked everything about it with the exception of the JitBit ticketing system, GIT, and I'll pull it up real quick. Someone, I don't remember who mentioned it. But the help desk software built for IT people, except as long as you're an IT person using Office 365. I did talk to people there and back and forth with them. I actually didn't like their answer. They told me less secure apps was how they want to integrate with Google. I said, Google has an API to integrate. They replied with, they haven't told us about it yet or something like that. And I replied right away, here's the API for it. So, yeah, that's, I was like, well, okay. So we went over to the ticketing system from Freshdesk because it integrates better with our email system and actually found it worked better. We set up both and we tried both. And after the demos, I kind of like Freshdesk and it seems to get the job done. So request tracker. The problem with a lot of them is they do too much. And that was where they do too much or they don't look good enough or don't have good apps. And I do like having nice apps for things. It also integrated with our email. That's a huge part of it too. So the open source enterprise grade ticketing system. Yeah, that one looks kind of neat. But it doesn't look as nice as Freshdesk. That's the problem. We went through, I didn't look at this one specifically, but we certainly looked at quite a few of them. And this is the request tracker one someone mentioned. We looked at a lot of them. And honestly, when we kept doing it, we did a demos of, I don't remember which other one. We looked at it and said, this is just, what's the big OS ticket? Didn't like that one. The workflow was more confusing in that one. Freshdesk, I got to admit, I mean, I get why they're popular. It was really easy to set up. It was really easy to fine tune a lot of if-then rules. And we're like, oh, wow, all those little quirkiness problems we had with the other ones went away because we were able to write rules and integrations very quickly, including it has full Zapier integration, so we can use it with Zapier to automate all kinds of responses, which we've been looking at for all of our workflow. All of our workflow is based on email, which confuses people how we've been emailing and managing clients without a ticket system. I'm like, yeah, just you can do it if you have a really solid email workflow. That is how we do things here, is with email workflows. Freshdesk actually can trigger lots of things really well off of email workflows. That's why we ended up going there. So yeah, it's what worked. There's a bug when removing people from a CC because they get updates. That's interesting. Our current ticketing system, Riley Chase is asking here, is just handling everything via email. And Freshdesk is the one we think we like the best. That's just the one that seems to have the best integration for everything. That it just really, it flows really well with all the emails we have, and we were able to tune it very well. And the apps are really nice, like from kind of an overall package, being able to initiate new tickets, reply to tickets, and update on your phone very simply. Yeah, that was that worked really well. So of the ones we tested, that's the one we kind of said, I think that's the one we're probably going to stay with. What else was there? Someone asked some other question. I haven't seen a problem with the field size being too small. Alternative to Visio, we use draw.io. We don't use Visio at all. I have a video on, if you search my channel for draw.io, you can find it. The MSP manager was neat. the MSP managers seem less suited for handling tickets that weren't part of the MSP. I like the MSP manager for its integration for everybody MSP. A massive amount of work we do and where actual tickets come from is project work, not from MSPs. The MSP work, like our managed service writing we do for clients, does not incur near the number of tickets as all the project work we do. So because we're heavier on project work in terms of our ticket workload than we are on the MSP work, seeing something that was more geared towards our MSP customers seemed less effective overall. And we certainly don't want to run 2 ticketing systems. That would be, wow, yeah. And one of the other things about Freshdesk, as I kind of alluded to, because we use G Suite and we don't plan on switching, the fact that they right away have full integration and tie-in with all your G Suite stuff, they took the time to do it. When you get replies like, oh, we're not doing it that way, we're telling you to use a deprecated function that Google says is going away, I'm like, well, that's not really an answer. That means you aren't catering to people who like G Suite, which is fine. I mean, you don't have to cater to a market you don't want to cater to. You just won't get those clients. And because we are G Suite, we just don't care for Office 365, although that's what our customers have and that's what we administer. I like G Suite better by a lot. And so we use G Suite. And so we have to find something that's very friendly with G Suite because we don't really feel like changing our platform that we use. But, overall, it works. It's also, now, if you go to, and this is something else that's integrated in there now. Let me find the page. This was another feature, so we didn't have to do as much work. That contact form that we customized, that actually is, this is the Hire Us page, and this contact form goes right into the ticket system and starts the process. We built they actually have a nice way they build workflows around it, because our workflow, when I say email dependent, that means it depends on multiple emails from different sources to do routing. That's how we already have all of our filters set up. So this doesn't initiate a support type ticket. This initiates a different type of ticket. And yes, we do it as a ticket. Before we just did it as an email and a form. Now it's coming through here instead of the form because it's going through this form and initiates in the system. Once again, it really comes down to not the ticketing system used, but can the ticketing system incorporate your workflows? That's what really matters, because we already have established workflows. And I actually encourage people, if you build your workflows first, it really is helpful so you understand what you need and don't just run around buying a bunch of products. Then you end up with a product that has 100 features and you're using 3 of them. You're like, I could probably use a different product that might even be less expensive, but we've already committed to this one, but we don't use all the features of it. So, you can track time on tickets. We track our time in Invoice Ninja where the billing happens. So we can't, Freshdesk has a time tracker built in. We just started playing with it, so we haven't really dove deep into it, but it seems to have one. But we've done it previously in Invoice Ninja and tracked our time there because that's what generates the billing. Yeah, finding one that suits you is a definite nightmare. Would you do a video behind the scenes for contact us? I actually have done an older video, which you'll have to change, but I have a video that covers all of that. How is that? The title's eluding me right now. If you type in workflow, there's actually a few. I'm trying to remember because one of them specifically, I charted it out. So there's a right here. Our process for booking clients from YouTube. Now I'll have to do an updated version of this video. It's funny because the business videos get very few views. There's only like 4,000 views on it. But this video actually breaks down the workflow for how people contact us and where that goes. We'll be updating that once we have the process done, but most of the back end is still the same. There's only the front end that really changed because it's just gonna go into a ticket instead of just an email. But yeah, I actually have that. It's called Our Process for Booking Clients on YouTube. It's one of my business videos. And we still use You Can Book Me. I mean, what do I think of deep inspection? What do I think of deep inspection firewalls? If you need them, you need them. We usually recommend Untangle for them. I don't always understand what I think of them. I mean, if you need them, you need them. Then use them. If there's a company requirement that says you need this, then throw it in there. Untangle is the one we usually recommend if you need full packet inspection. So 4K is a lot of views, I guess. I mean, yes, it is perspective because my earlier videos still don't really have many views. But yeah, you're right. Probably 4K is a definitely a like 4,000 people watching something is a lot of views until you've got some of the other videos where you have more and you're like, I guess it's not that many views. Yeah, filtering inline is always a pain. That's for sure. Would you trust ConnectWise to store passwords? We don't usually use that feature. I think there's a feature they added in ConnectWise Control to store the password. I don't use that. Yeah, if you don't need DPI, don't add DPI. Why do people call me by my last name? I don't know. I technically have two first names because Lawrence is a shortened often to Larry in the United States here. I don't know if it's shortened that way. I don't even know if Lawrence is a first proper name for people outside the U.S. I've only met other people inside the U.S. that's had that name. But my legal name is Tom Lawrence. But I don't know. I've had people call me Lawrence all the time. I'll answer to either one. I actually don't have particular preferences to what people call me. I think it's also just it's a proper British name. Okay. I don't know any British people named Lawrence, but I don't know. I mean, I know I also the majority of the people I know are obviously American. I do know people from other countries, but they do not make up the majority of the people I interact with. A handful of them. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just running through all the names I have for any of my English friends. None of them are there. I don't even have a Larry as an English friend, not that I'm aware of. What else can we wander around and talk about here for the next 10 minutes or so? My last name is Systems. We'll go with that. We should just change my name on that. Do you trust things like LastPass? I don't know about... there's not a reason that I am aware of not to trust LastPass. I actually was starting a video today before I got sidetracked. I was going to explain how password managers work and how they encrypt things because there's so much confusion around that. But yeah, they don't have your password. That's a big piece of it. They hash it in the browser and people do not understand exactly how that works. And some people don't understand how to smash the like button. So if you could do that, that'd be wonderful. So... but in terms of whenever you're dealing with password managers, a properly implemented password manager does not in any way store your master password. They only store a hashed iteration of it. That way, they can compare the stored hash that they have versus the hash that occurs in a browser. And this is an important distinction because most of the time your password is sent from the browser and the server handles it. The way password managers do it is the hash is done in the browser prior to sending it. So I may do a video on that because it's one of those things that it causes some confusion. Have I restored PF Sense to a new device? Yes, I have. We currently use the SolarWinds standalone backup. I forget, it's the separate site one. I think they got rid of the other one. I don't think they have both anymore. Isn't it just one? You'll be loyal to 1Password. I don't know anything bad about 1Password. If they're the one you like, there's a few of them out there. I'm partial to Bitwarden. I used to be a LastPass user. I moved away from LastPass. LastPass decided to get rid of their free or reduce what they offer for free. People lost their mind, and that's like a business model, the Silicon Valley way. They start out by offering a free service. They get a bunch of users. They offer a paid service. A bunch of people shift to the paid service. And then they drop all the people that are the dead weight that are just taking up server cycles but will never be a paying customer. They drop them and let the next company to fill in the gap, to offer free services, to build up and offer a paid service, till eventually they get around to charging for it. And then people get mad and they start off. And you can see how this is like a circle. Yeah, LogMeIn does not have a reputation on doing great with companies, but I guess it depends on what's the goal. Is the goal to make you happy, or is the goal at LogMeIn to make shareholders happy? So I think with anybody, you have to think about what their goal is and decide, do they serve their goal? If their goal is to make shareholders happy, I think they do that. If they're returning profitability, yeah. So it's just thinking about that, because some companies are like, yeah, so all the people that want something for free are really angry at us. Wow. All right, how's those quarterly reports looking? Good. All right, great. We saved this much money by getting rid of the people who don't like to pay for things. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or anything. It's more of a, what's their end game? To make lots of people happy or to make shareholders happy? I think LogMeIn does a lot of making shareholders happy. And I mean, that you kind of have to keep your customers happy too. So I have not seen a debrief, but I also have not looked for a post-mortem on the OVH incident. So I don't think we have anybody left on MPLS. I think we've migrated all the MPLS away. Just like the on-prem Exchange servers. We've migrated those away. We have nobody on that either. I have been on I don't understand that. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Because I'm also tired. I didn't sleep a lot. What else do we have in here? Users versus customers. Do I recall any data center fires? There have been, I'm sure. I don't have a list of data center incidents, but I'm sure there's been numerous ones. I'm sure there's been quite a few data center ones. I mean, this one was seemingly pretty big, but I don't have an exact scale and scope. But then again, data centers always get bigger. So even if an entire data center were to burn down X amount of years ago, data centers are bigger now than they were X amount of years ago. So you're always going to be, even if the fire isn't the same in scale and scope, it will affect more people as more people and more density is added to these data centers. So I guess it depends on how you quantify that. Yeah. I don't know the answer to the question about recursive DNS or DNS, which is best. Whichever one makes you happy is the best one. Would you recommend I dump my Sophos for pfSense? Sure. I never use Sophos, so I can't really tell you why you should or shouldn't use Sophos, but I use pfSense and I'm happy with it. So that's kind of a you question. I don't necessarily and directly have the answer to that. Oh, yes, and Riley Chase, as he's pointing out, if you just enable auto backups in OVH or DigitalOcean, many of those auto backups live within the same data center. So they're backing up so you can restore a particular virtual machine, not necessarily so you can restore your data somewhere else. Yeah, with some of them, someone pointed out with some of them, you may have an option to back it up to another data center. And some of them do offer regional backup options. I know with like Amazon, there's ways you can back up things to different regions for availability. There's some really high-end stuff you can do with some of the larger providers. Make sure it's all part of your plan and things you can do. I'm going to give this 4 more minutes because I have to go to that board meeting that's going to be happening shortly. Can you host Bitwarden for free? I don't think so. I think you maybe. I'm not positive on that. I pay for Bitwarden because I want the enterprise license for it for me and my staff. So I don't know. Maybe there's a free option. I'm not 100% certain on that. Plan is a 4-letter word. Sure is. Okay, Bitwarden. Someone says Bitwarden does have free self-hosted. It's been a while since I looked, so I don't know. And people always mention Bitwarden RS. I do not want to trust my passwords to a third-party fork implementation of Bitwarden. Passwords are critical. Passwords are important. Managing that data securely is critical and important. Therefore, I choose to pay an enterprise license to support the project that Bitwarden is that allows me to self-host it on their official packages. Using a third party, I mean, I'm not saying they're doing anything wrong, but you're trusting all of your passwords and data. And I feel the trust has been earned from Bitwarden on a quality product there. It can be scary when you have a side project by another group that's not officially Bitwarden doing it. So if you haven't spent the time watching the latest groups and what was that called? I did a video on it. It is the data confusion, the source confusion video. And this one here, there's been a lot more since I did that video, and it's not good. So it is the dependency confusion. I said data confusion. And I was a skeptic when I seen. But dependency confusion. This has become a bigger mess since the release of this video. So I did this video on February 24th. This mess is getting bigger and a more problematic. And this is where I really hope the folks, and I'll make the assumption that they're very aware from a security standpoint, that they don't have any dependency confusion. But when people start third-party projects, I mean, I don't know the people involved in Bitwarden Rust. I'm not trying to throw shade at them. They may be absolutely the most talented developers on the planet. I'm just pointing out, are you sure? And before you put all your passwords with a third-party one, and did they get caught up in dependency confusion and accidentally insert something in there? This has been a pretty steady, since that report was released, ongoing attack, creating fake dependencies that, well, might cause problems for exfilling data. So it's something to really consider about your software sources and supply chain attacks. So yes, I can't stream a board meeting. Lots of private stuff happens in board meetings, so. Do my staff use work stuff or personal stuff? I don't know the relevance of that question. What else do we have in here? I have no interest in using 1Password. I don't know any reason not to use it. I just don't have an interest in using it. I use Bitwarden. Sentinel-1, is it worth it? So far, we've liked Sentinel-1. That seems to work quite well. Will you be doing any UniFi talk videos? Seems unlikely. Given that your passwords are only decrypted at the client, the attack surface seems low. Seems low, provided that someone doesn't slip a piece of code in that changes all that. This is, so to speak, this could happen at any password manager. I had mentioned earlier, they take the time to hash it prior to leaving your browser. It's only a minor code change for them to stop doing that. If someone does a insertion in an update because of something like dependency confusion, where they can somehow figure out a dependency and change it so it stops hashing it, you would have a really big problem, because everything that you thought was true becomes unwound and it starts sending everything across the channel as opposed to decrypting it. So that's one of the reasons. It's just, yeah, it's scary when it comes to password manager. You got to be very careful and have a level of trust in those people. So. One password on Windows is slow. I don't know. I really only use it as the browser plugin. I don't use it as much as an app. I mean, it supports and does have applications. I just don't really use it like that. You know, KeyPass is not a bad choice until you have a bunch of people that you need to store a bunch of things and share with a bunch of employees. Then it becomes difficult to try to use something like KeyPass. It's a scalability problem. Bitwarden scales, KeyPass less much. So there's ways to do it, and someone will point out how you can try to get the sharing to work and synchronization to work. And I played with it and said this isn't the most scalable solution. We rarely run pfSense on custom hardware for a client. It's a pretty rare. Most of the time we just get them, one of the devices. 3 more minutes and then I'm out of here. It's a matter of taste. That's probably something very true here. When it comes to password manager, use the one that makes you happy. Don't use Excel spreadsheets. That would not be good. Don't put them under your keyboard. Do not put them on the Post-it note where the end users definitely will have them. Yeah, 2FA is... please use 2FA everywhere. Put them all... Oh, man, I do have people who I know put things in Google Sheets that... Yeah, that's something people have done. Certainly, they put all their passwords in a Google Sheet and then shared it with us, which is scary. Especially because I realized they had it shared to anyone with a link. And I'm like, guys, this is not good. This is a terrible idea. You should change every password in here when we're done working together. There's some companies that make life overly difficult. Google Sheets shared publicly with all the passwords. Yes. It's a thing. People definitely do that. Anyways, any more for the good of the class? Any more for the good of the class? And yes, once we figure out Freshdesk, I will do an updated video talking about it because people will be happy with it. And then a bunch of people will recommend a bunch of other ones. And like I said, at some point we had to make a commitment to which one. Hey, my son appears to have walked in. So thanks everyone for joining here. Hit the like button. And hide user on this channel at the same time. This user's message will be hidden. So thanks for watching. Hey.
I have biked here.
You have biked here?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It is very nice out here. He wants pizza. That too.
I just ate pizza.
You just ate pizza?
No, I ate the leftovers of last night. Was it last night?
Yep. You know, I think I got more spammers this time. This is the last comment I'll make here. I'm realizing how many spam things I'm having removed. I think it's because I set this up so early. I gave them a chance to find this. Pizza with pineapples, Marcus?
Oh, you are a disgusting human being.
Tell them they should bash that like button.
No.
No?
No.
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 Is it cringy?
Yeah.
Bash the like button. Destroy it. Smash that like button.
Why did I come here?
Because you wanted to say that too.
I also wanted to say hi on Vlog Thursday.
You just want to say hi on Vlog Thursday?
Yeah. I forgot it was actually Vlog Thursday till I came in here.
Yep.
And I saw the door closed and I was like, oh, he's streaming.
Yep. Oh, look, spammers. More of them.
Ooh.
Yep.
On top.
I don't know. I don't understand what they're trying to do. So,
Chop.
Oh, look, more Bashley. Awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta say,
Thanks,
don't
everyone.
smoke bees.
Oh. What are you going to type? Don't smoke bees.
Yeah.
Don't smoke bees.
That's I didn't type in that.
I'll let him type and then we'll stop.
God, I'm bad at typing like this.
I gotta... These spammers, they've decided to really join in here.
Yeah.
Spam on pizza. Here, I'll type it because you were gonna... I'll be spammed to death before you finish typing it.
Dad, you gotta put in all caps,
Oh.
no spaces. It's just required.
So 2 E's and Z?
Yeah.
Or S?
No, there's an S. It's an S.
There you go.
Yeah.
He says don't smoke bees.
Yep.
One day we'll talk about that.
Yep. That was a very stupid story.
It's a stupid story.
It's a very stupid story.
Even a spam bot. Rip spammers. Well, they only can come once because once I ban them, they're permabanned from the channel. So
I like you,
whatever.
John O'Brien.
Even spam bot wouldn't eat pineapple on a pizza.
Yeah. Oh, rip spammers.
Yep.
Pew pew spammers.
Pew pew
Oh, that's
spammers.
Ermer.
Eric. Eric's in the other room.
Yeah.
He's usually remotely, but he's in his other room. Oh, is that Anthony? Anthony's
Yeah.
doing tricks. Did he? Hold on. We'll share this. This is my. What's so funny?
Just so we see Anthony.
Is it?
Funny how...
Let's see if he'll do a trick.
Yep.
It's my son-in-law. He's actually quite talented on the bike. We can just kind of watch him for a minute because this is great. I want him to do something cool. We're like,
I'm gonna go tell. Oh,
Yep.
there's a bar spin.
there's a bar spin, another bar spin. By the way, he's doing this on a twisted ankle because he crashed a. Let us watch this for a minute.
I'll go tell him to do it. Try and
Go tell him to do a trick, and then I'll wind it down with him doing one more trick.
Tell him to do one more trick.
Yeah.
You're on camera. You're on stream.
Oh!
We can rewind it too. So let's just watch this in the live stream for a minute. Like, this is unexpected. Are you gonna go do a trick too?
No.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for joining here. He's oh, he wants to see himself on the live stream. Yeah, I can come in here. There was almost 300 people watching you
Why were you guys streaming the outside camera?
because you were outside.
It's always streaming on that TV, and so we just saw you in the background. And he pulled up the cameras.
Yeah, I pulled up the cameras. So you can see the cameras behind me, and I'm like, oh, look, there's a guy on a bike. So then we switched to the camera view of you on the bike over here. And then, yeah, this is so. But thanks for watching, everybody. I'm going to end the live stream here. Thanks.